Oh my God. Oh dear. I'm going to need a straw. Good evening. It is today the 4th of January 2019. I had to think about that. It's not 2018 anymore. We're in a new year. And this is Mikesunboxing Reviews Now 2. This is our weekly live stream. It is Friday night. It is just gone 10 o'clock and I'm late as per usual, which is a very, very common occurrence in the Mikesunboxing household. Fashionably late, I like to call it. So, the new year, what does it hold for most of us? Well, for probably quite a lot of us, a lot more of the same. New processors, hopefully, new graphics cards, new technology coming out. And at the moment, we're waiting desperately for CES, which is beginning next week. Well, this week, next week, whichever way you want to look at it. So, at the moment, all the big YouTubers currently are making their usual videos of what I might take into CES, what's in my bag. So you can tell that at the moment, hardware-wise and PC news-wise, there isn't a lot to talk about. There's not a lot being brought out at the moment. So much so that people have got to talk about their cameras and their trip to CES, which is pretty telling at the moment. The PC industry, the gaming industry, all that kind of stuff, is really stale at the moment. There's not a great deal happening. It's very, very quiet. From AMD, what have we had recently? The best news we had recently was the release of the Athlon chips, the GEs, which I'm trying to think how long ago that was now. Was that 2 months, 3 months, maybe even more? I'm not sure. We're basically getting incremental upgrades of RAM. So probably this time last year, we were looking at sort of 3,000, 3,200 megahertz RAM. This year, things is pretty much more of the same. They're adding more voltage to the DDR4 to try and squeeze a few more megahertz out of those old sticks, and we're getting up to 3,800, 4,000 megahertz on RAM, which is actually a really nice speed. And yeah, there's not a lot happening. So hopefully CES coming up in the next couple of days is going to give us some new and interesting stuff to look forward to in 2019. So, good evening to everybody. We've got Paul Donaldson's in the house. Good evening, Paul. How are you? Hope you had a lovely new year. Although we kind of spent some of it with you, I think, if I remember rightly. It's all a bit hazy. All the days have gone very weird. We're still kind of in that holiday season up until the end of this weekend, so every day seems like a Saturday. I don't know if you guys are in the same position as me. I'm completely lost of what day it is, what time it is. It's all mad. Part of the reason why I was a little bit late for this stream is because literally I had some tea around about sort of 5, 6 o'clock. It was a pretty heavy tea. Let's not mess around here. It was a pretty heavy tea. I went and had a lie down on the settee, and that was it. I was like, boom. Now maybe it's my age, maybe it's because it's the time of the year and it's dark and gloomy and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I just could not stay awake. It was mental. Kath tried her best to try and keep me awake for as much as possible, but even her most valiant efforts were failing. But that's another story. 80s Horror Fan, good evening, how are you? 80s Horror Fan, now in keeping up with our previous conversations with 80s stuff, I was trying to find a decent stream to watch Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, as we talked about last time, and I still haven't found a decent stream. The way things are looking, I may have to actually buy the ultraviolet copy or a digital copy of it somewhere, which really goes against the grain, but I might have to do that. Paul Donaldson suggested, actually, why don't we talk about the tech fails of 2018? And that's definitely something that we could probably look into. Out of interest, what would you consider the biggest tech fails of 2018? I think there's probably quite a few. I can't think of anything off the top of my head at the moment. Nothing specifically springs to mind. I'm trying to think. I would say probably for me the biggest tech fail, or the biggest kind of, it's not really a fail, but the biggest disappointment for me was the Nvidia RTX launch back in, what was that, August now? That for me was a massive, massive fail. Oh, Paul Donaldson, yeah, the PlayStation Classic. Now all of those things, the in the NES Classic, the PlayStation Classic. There's even talk now of a Xbox Classic coming out. Whether that will happen, whether it won't, I don't know. That's actually relatively quite new news, I think, in the last couple of weeks. That has been on the cards. Would you be interested in an Xbox Classic? Kath's nodding her head, yeah, she wants Xbox Classic. But will it ever be as good as the original Xbox Crystal console? Where it's available, well, most of us probably turned them into Xbox Media Centers back in the day, which actually turned it into a complete home entertainment device rather than just being a games console. You could do everything, like play movies, you could put a new hard drive in, chip it so you could run all the sort of backup games and all that kind of stuff. That was probably the heyday of the consoles, and I think probably what sold the Xbox in the massive, massive numbers that it did. Anyway, look at this. This is my my drinking glass, and Kath said, "What do you want to drink?" So I better have a beer. So that is the best part of 2 bottles of beer in my super glass, which I'm still very thankful to Angel for getting, and I'm definitely going to try not to spill this because that could end up bad. Cheers, everybody. Blimey, that is cold. Letta's in the house. Good evening, Letta, or good afternoon, probably, where you are. I don't know what the weather's like where you are at the moment. Actually, this goes to all of you that are watching. What is the temperature where you are at the moment? At the moment, I looked outside to see what the car was like just now, and it looks like someone's had a massive cocaine accident. It's just covered in white powder. I think it's probably actually frost, but it definitely doesn't look good. It is absolutely freezing. Hence why I'm in this studio, or the living room, as it's otherwise known. Even with the lights on in here, I'm still gonna have to have my puffy jacket on because it's bloody freezing, absolutely freezing. So, happy birthday this week goes to Bitcoin, surprisingly. Now, how old do you think Bitcoin is? I think some of you will probably be a little bit surprised how old Bitcoin actually is this week. I think it's on the 3rd or the 5th, I think. I'm not sure, I did look it up, I did print it out. Doesn't say on there. But Bitcoin, believe it or not, is 10 years young. Incredible. If you'd have said to me, well, if you'd have asked me straight out, how old is Bitcoin, I would have probably said 5 years, which probably coincides with around about 20, where was it? It jumped up. Yeah, about 2014, there was quite a spike in Bitcoin, and then it stayed pretty stable. Obviously, we had that massive, massive monumental leap from 2017 to 2018, where it peaked out at like, was it $18,000 for a Bitcoin? $18,000. And now, going into 2019, we're looking at just slightly over, well, just below the $4,000 mark. Now, back in the day, originally, when some of the first transactions were taking place on the Bitcoin platform, there was a guy who paid 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 Domino's pizzas. Wow. And I bet at that time he probably thought he was getting a good deal. But now those Bitcoins are worth like 30-something million dollars. So whoever received that payment back then for those 2 pizzas, they were laughing their way all the way to the bank. Absolutely incredible. So happy birthday, Bitcoin. Ethereum, I think, I'm not sure how old Ethereum is now, probably a couple of years as well, which is that kind of where it's slightly sort of forking. But what's your thoughts? Do you think, what's going to happen with digital currency? Is Bitcoin going to get to the point where it's probably going to get to maybe, I don't know, $1,000 per coin or $100 per coin? And have you actually got any Bitcoins? Have you mined any Bitcoins? It's interesting to know actually from kind of like real people like the viewers of the channel. What is your thoughts on Bitcoin? Do you have kind of concerns about it? Security concerns or fluctuations in value? Is that a massive concern? Or I guess if you're mining it on a kind of a small scale, maybe just with your PC in the background, like you would with things like the SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Life, and number folding and all that sort of stuff. I guess if you're just slowly, incrementally using your PC while it's not in use, then it's not a bad thing. And if the price goes up on Bitcoin, brilliant. If it goes down, it's not the end of the world because your PC's on anyway. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Are you interested? I thought that Bitcoin was possibly going to be the future, But with all the uncertainty in the world as it is at the moment, adding another level of sort of the unknown is a bit risky. And I don't think I would be tempted to transfer some of my savings into Bitcoin right now. I think that would probably be quite a scary or daunting task. Although saying that, at the moment it's at quite a low level. Is it going to peak again? Is it worth an investment? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Aletta, no interest in Bitcoin, I have enough trouble holding on to real money. Yep, I kind of know where you're coming from with that. I suppose at least with Bitcoin actually, because Bitcoin is more difficult to spend in general, unless you're kind of going dark web, maybe Bitcoin is actually quite a good way of saving money, because you put money in, and because it is more difficult to get out or get access to, maybe you could keep hold of it longer. I don't know, maybe a thought. Adam from the Blind Divide's in the house. Good evening, Adam. How are you?
6 degrees where Aletta is.
6 degrees where Aletta is at the moment. So Aletta is probably, what are we at? We're at 10 o'clock, so Aletta's about 5-6 hours behind. So you're looking about sort of mid-afternoon. So yeah, that's not a bad temperature. It's freezing. In the UK at the moment, it is freezing. And I'm really concerned because I was going to use some profanities then, but my car, my slowly depreciating rust bucket, mechanically unsafe vehicle, it's got a crack, well, 2 stone chips in the windscreen, which I don't know how it happened. It looks like someone's thrown a brick at my car window and it's bounced off. And there's 2 big kind of, I don't know, I don't even call them, it's like a stone chip, I guess, but there's 2 of them and it's kind of, the lamination started to go. And I'm terrified now with the frost that it's just going to go and crack all the way across. So definitely something I need to get sorted out. Anyway, so yeah, what else? Tech fails of this year. Google have been on the sort of receiving end of lots of crap. Their kind of messenger service. Fallout 76, which actually the other day I was very tempted. There was an offer on UK Hot Deals and I was really tempted. But then I started trying to install the Bethesda.net software and I tried signing up and it says your account is already signed up. So I got them to send me a kind of like a activation code and then it didn't come through, and that happened on 2 emails. So whether their server was overloaded or whatever, I don't know, I don't care. Basically, if I can't install the software, I'm not going to buy the game. Why do they? I much prefer Steam. At least with Steam, you buy your games, they're in your Steam library, that's it, job done. You can unplug your Steam library, take it with you, do whatever you want. But all these different game launchers, so we've got the Epic Games launcher for Fortnite, Unreal Tournament, all that kind of stuff, Subnautica, all those others which have been free recently, which has been actually really good. And what else have we got? Yeah, Epic Games launcher. I can't think of the one for EA Games. Maybe someone can put me in the comments and let me know. You've got EA Games, Steam. It's just all these different launchers. It's just confusing. There's just more stuff running at the startup. What happened to the good old days where you just clicked on an icon and a game run natively within its own little boundaries? Rather than having all these massive things going on in the background for auto updating and stuff like that. It's just horrendous. I hate it. I really do. Angel's in the house. Angel, thank you for my glass. Thanks for Kath for filling it as much as physically possible. Happy days. So yeah, other tech fails. I'm trying to think what else. The RTX definitely. The PlayStation. iPhone updates. Now there's a fail, which has actually gone in my favour because pretty much I would say, well, it's hard to put a number on it, but the amount of emails I get on a daily basis and comments on the no sounding calls or no sounding iPhone is ridiculous. It genuinely is. And it always seems to be where people have done an update from iOS 11 to 12 or a update. And it's just killing phones left, right and centre, especially iPhone 7 and iPhone 8. I haven't heard much from iPhone 10s or X's or whatever you want to call it. So it's mostly the older models. The 6s actually seem to be pretty much left alone. So I'll be interested to find out really what the difference is in the chips for audio that iPhone uses between those models and whether they use the same chip on the 7 and 8. They probably do. But it's, yeah. Adams suggested everything that made by Apple bending. That's definitely a tech fail. How? Apple is a weird company. And I think I would go out on a limb in saying since Tim Cook's taken over as kind of CEO or whatever you want to call it, Apple has been on the slide. Steve Jobs, like him or hate him, he was arguably a man of integrity. He knew how to make a product, how to launch a product, and to make the customer love the product. Now, a lot of those customers have stuck around, obviously, since he's passed on, and the reins have been passed on to Tim Cook. But I don't know of any product launch they've done of recent years which hasn't had some element of kind of something's gone wrong, or the product's been rubbish, or, well, not rubbish, that's a bit harsh, but the product not living up to its hype, or not being that premium product that we kind of expect from Apple, which I think is terrible. But yeah, Apple, actually a letter saying the only thing I like from Apple is their iTunes music software. Now, actually, as an ecosystem, the iOS ecosystem is, I would say, pretty much faultless. Now, that's probably going to stir and trigger a lot of people, because there's a lot of people that don't like iTunes purely because of its kind of closed wall nature and the price for music, all that kind of stuff. But if you take it as an ecosystem, as a coherent kind of lump of software, it actually is really good, and it does really work well. You can take an Apple device from kind of one device to another, and you can carry on your stuff. And it was almost like with Windows with an Active Directory, so it kind of, you type in username and password and it just follows you around. Apple have pretty much summed that up so that their stuff generally, touch wood, just works, depending on which device you're on. Obviously, if your device fails, you're screwed. If your account gets hacked or anything, you're completely screwed. And actually, I have found recently trying to get hold of Apple to actually speak to a human being without actually having to sort of leave the safety of the four walls of the Mikesunboxing residence, it's almost impossible to speak to a human being. It's all automated. So you end up just going around in this massive loop of, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Click on this link. And it's like, please, 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 just give me a human being who actually knows what they're talking about to walk me through this. Now, I've had the problem with, I bought the iPhone 7 Plus a few months back, which had a problem with iTunes account from a previous owner. Nothing to do with anything I'd done, just meant that I couldn't use the phone for my own downloads, which is a kind of crazy thing. But again, there was absolutely zero help I could get from Apple directly, even though it's their product, it's their accounts, it's their iTunes, all that kind of stuff, completely cut off. So essentially, you're paying a lot of money for a product which actually doesn't cost a massive amount to produce, and you pay the extra money for that kind of the backup, the support, the ecosystem. But if the ecosystem fails on you, what's the point of spending the extra money? Which is why Android is such a massive dominating force in the global smartphone market. Actually, moving on from that, another kind of a classic fail of the year, I would say, would be Android Pie. Now, I'd be interested to know if any of you Android users that are watching, either now or in the kind of the catch-ups, how many of you are actually on Android Pie? Now, my phone, my daily driver at the moment is the Nokia 8, the original Nokia 8, Nokia 8, and this is actually still running. I'm actually going to double check now to make sure I'm not talking out my backside. I'm pretty sure that this is still running 8.1, which, yeah, system updated to Android 8.1, and security patch level 1st of December 2018. So that's not too bad. Now, Kath was reading an article earlier on, which was saying that as far as updates are concerned, iPhones in general are far better for having modern software on their devices and people actually choosing to install it. I guess choosing is probably the wrong word, because most of the time you get that kind of nag, iOS update is available, press now, or upgrade overnight or whatever, or when it's plugged in, or defer upgrade. So Apple, very much like Windows in that respect, constantly nagging you to try and keep your software as up to date as possibly can be. Whereas with the Android ecosystem, because of how it was implemented and all the individual kind of manufacturers, etc., distributors, whatever, all putting their own kind of unique spin on the operating system because of its openness, not all of them are bothered about doing updates. They literally want to sell a cheap phone or a cheaper phone or a cheaper alternative, get it out the door, give it its 12-month warranty, and then kind of, that's enough of that, move on to the next product. Which is why at the moment there's a massive amount of Android devices out there which are still running Marshmallow, Android 6, I think. Is it 6? Yeah, Marshmallow, Nugget and 7. So Marshmallow and Nugget actually make up the largest majority of Android devices. So 8 Oreo and 9 Pie are a tiny slither of that pie. Wow, I can't believe I actually managed to slip that pun in. Thank you, baby Jesus. So anyway, do you keep your device up to date, or have you got to a point on your particular device where you cannot update it anymore and it is essentially a dead device, which is a lot of the case. Now, Nokia have actually said that the Pi operating system will be available for the Nokia 8, which was their first kind of flagship device. Still not come out. They did say it was going to be out in December, so there was a beta out, but it hasn't been fully released yet. Again, because of the way it's distributed, it takes a while for kind of operators and all that kind of thing to validate it for over-the-air upgrades. But anyway, dear. Yes, it's a very odd situation. Now, Android are actually looking at the, I think it's Fuchsia is going to be the new kind of Android operating system. So whether Android will disappear as a branding name and Fuchsia will replace it. But it looks like Fuchsia will be backwards compatible with Android apps, but it's going to carry a lot of the features of Pi forward. So it's going to be a split operating system, so they can update the key features of the operating system, and the manufacturers or third parties can add on their own bits to that, which then doesn't interfere with the key kind of kernel of the operating system, which hopefully make it so that Android users can keep up to date and not have to worry about what their manufacturer or distributor or even their carrier is doing. So that'll be good. So the massive fail of 2018 for Android of not updating their devices, hopefully in this coming year will be a thing of the past. Adam has said there, 100% Apple is extremely anti-consumer. Yeah, it does. It's a weird thing. Oh, good night, Angel. Sleep well. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's a weird thing. There are so many companies at the moment out in the world which are being threatened with lawsuits because of technology which has been shared or borrowed, which in the early days it was a good thing because it helped companies progress and it put technology into the hands of us. But now things like Qualcomm banning sales of the iPhone 7 and 8 because of the use of some of their technology in Apple devices, which was actually another one of my topics I was going to raise actually. What is going on with Apple? Now, in China, there's all this litigation for basically Apple selling their products because of the copyright infringements. It's now, as of, I think it was yesterday, Germany has followed suit and banned them from selling the 7 and 8 within Germany. So you'd think, being Germany is part of the EU, maybe that is going to be a rollout in the next week or so, or a couple of weeks, where all EU countries will kind of take the same stance as Germany and maybe ban the sales of iPhone 7 and 8 as a new product. That would be quite a thing. Personally, I don't like Apple anymore. Their products can go and do one. I'm not really interested. Until they get back to being kind of classy, cool, well-built, and more importantly, customer focused. Yeah, I think their days are numbered. And I think, was it yesterday, they had roughly 8 or 10% wiped off their value in the shares, which is, when you think of percentages, that's not a lot. Like, I've drank probably 10% of that glass, maybe a little bit more. But if that was billions of dollars to lose 10%, that's a hell of a whack. So yeah, again, let me know in the comments what you think about the of Apple and the EU. Now, in a minute, we're going to talk about some of the other stuff which hopefully we're going to see at CEX. I have actually printed out some of the stuff for the Ryzen 3000 series, which I am actually genuinely excited with the news which has come out, and I've got some of the stuff from the e-catalog, which was the Russian e-tailer, kind of like PC Part Picker, which I've done some videos on this last week actually, retail stuff from PC Part Picker and Amazon and all that kind of stuff. So this is the kind of the placeholders that the e-catalog have put on their site for the new Ryzen 3000 chips, and yeah, it's very, very interesting reading. If you haven't seen it already, you can go pretty much to any of the technology outlets, Tom's Hardware, Gamers Nexus, Hexus.net, all those kinds of things, and you can have a closer look at the individual specs of the processors. But we will go through it, and I'm going to make references to what is existingly available and what is possibly potentially coming, and also the prices that they've stated. Some of the prices on this are absolutely mental considering what we get, and also some of it kind of bastardizes their existing product lines. So whether it's real, whether it's not, if what I've got on paper here and what I've seen on websites, if we get anywhere near to this, this is going to be a mad, mad year for AMD, and Intel are going to be wearing the brown pants this year, definitely. Right, let's have a look at some of these comments and see what's going on. So, Paul Donaldson thinks Google will drop Android due to the massive fines. That would be probably their best bet. Like with most companies, if you've got a product which is making an absolute metric shit ton of money, but you're also losing a load of money because of fines or whatever, because of intellectual property, then generally the easiest thing to do is just let that part of it go if you can. If not, wipe the slate, start again. Now, Microsoft were in a very similar position in probably, what's it, 2011 with the whole Internet Explorer thing, and yeah, it was a mess. Was it actually? No, it's probably even further back than that. It's probably around about 2000 because of they were getting into trouble because of bundling Internet Explorer and trying to push out things like Netscape and AOL and all those kinds of things. And they were getting into trouble, and they were paying the fines, literally paying the fines every day, and saying, well, yeah, okay, well, yeah, we're doing this. It's anti-competitive, but we're making a lot of money, so we can actually afford to pay these fines. And I think that's still going on to this day. It's a very, very strange situation. But again, if you're making a lot of money, you can afford to lose a bit of money.
We imagine.
Yeah, I imagine. Who knows? So, a letter is saying, it would be cool if Ryzen can hit 5 gigahertz. Now again, going back to my printout here, there are 2 CPUs which are planned to be released, which hit 5 gigahertz. One exceeds 5 gigahertz. That one's going to be later on in the year. But from what it says, these CPUs are going to get their debut at CES, which a lot of tech channels have kind of disputed and said, no, it's not going to happen. But normally when people say, no, it's not going to happen, it normally means it's going to happen. Now, I'm totally fingers crossed for both the lottery this weekend, that would be really nice, but as a second lottery, for these to be released or to be announced, to be released in the coming month or couple of months, that would make my new year. It definitely would. Now, actually talking about New Year, what are people's resolutions, New Year's resolutions so far, and have you kept to them? Now, I've made a New Year's resolution. It wasn't a New Year's one, it was a last night resolution. And I was watching a video from a quite a popular YouTuber, Sean Canal, which if you haven't checked out his channel, you really should do, Think Media, or just search Sean Canal. Now, he does a lot of things to help YouTubers and also kind of media creators to do stuff. And he's full of helpful ideas, tips and tricks that have made or helped him to get to where he is on the platform. And he actually does really good. He actually, last year at Christmas time, not last year, but the last year before, so 2017 Christmas, he was actually asked to do a promotion for Amazon US, and he was on their site, on the front page of Amazon, doing a video kind of intro and review of some of their high-rated products over the holiday season. So clearly he has got some impact, he knows what he's doing, he's great at marketing and he's full of great tips. So he released a video yesterday which intrigued me, and that's actually why I feel so tired today. Last night he did a live video at 2:30 in the morning, because obviously US time, etc. Basically titled 5 people to not follow this year. And I was kind of interested in that because he's normally quite outspoken, so for him to give you the names of 5 people that you shouldn't be following on social media, I thought, yeah, this is quite interesting. And it was clickbait as hell, it genuinely was, but it was actually really interesting. Now, this is probably going to go on to a kind of a little bit of a rant, but I think it's actually a genuinely interesting proposal. So he was saying, if you want to be successful in what you do, whether it's YouTube channel, whether it's your daily life, whatever it may be, to be successful, you need one key thing. And this is very popular at the moment because there's YouTube adverts as well saying about it. Have you seen that YouTube advert that comes up all the time? There's that guy sat in front of the fireplace and he's like, do you want to know what $182 billion looks like? Now come on, have you seen it? Is it just targeted at me? Do they want me to be this millionaire person, or has anyone else seen it? But basically there's this, I think he's Australian or New Zealand or something like that, it's one of those accents, and he's sat in front of a fire and it's a really long ad. He's some kind of entrepreneur. And basically they're saying that if you want to be successful, you need to have focus, which actually, if you think about it, makes complete and utter sense. So if you're trying to do lots of little things all at the same time, chances are you're going to do all of them reasonably well, but you're just going to rush through because you want to get to the next thing. So if you focus your efforts, like laser focused, again going back to Steve Jobs, Bill Gates rather, all those people, they were super laser focused, and they've always said that they used focus. They just concentrated on one area to make themselves successful. So if you go to your phone now, you probably find that you're subscribed to all kinds of channels and tech stuff, and on your Facebook feed, if you look at it, you probably got to scroll down a little bit before you actually find anything that is actually even remotely interesting to you, rather than people just posting pictures of their cat or whatever it may be. Which, don't get me wrong, if you like pictures of cats, that's awesome, but you'll probably find on your feed, Instagram, Facebook, all those others, that there's stuff on there that you're following, which you've just followed for the sake of it, or because other people have followed. It's not really of interest to you, it doesn't really align to your own kind of values, beliefs, interests, but you're subscribed to it. So make that your New Year's resolution. I'm making it mine. I'm going to go through and I'm going to totally clean up all of my social media feeds, because I do find I'm making a video and the phone bleeps. I get my push notification come through, or I get some sort of notification. I'm on the computer, I get a pop-up come up, it's Facebook or whatever, someone's posted something or a new video posted. I would say 9 out of 10 times those pop-ups or that content isn't useful to me. It doesn't make me feel good, it doesn't inspire me. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to get rid of anything on my feeds which doesn't either help the channel, help me, help the family, or give me value. And again, I suggest you do the same. Even if you're watching this channel, be it live or watching it later on, if you think that this channel doesn't give you value or entertainment or interest or value, just unsubscribe, just delete it, don't come back. You should only be watching stuff or listening to stuff or getting involved with stuff which actually gives you value. It's a really sort of obvious thing if you think about it. And we do it. It's like every single video you watch, everyone's like, and don't forget, click on the subscribe button, click on the chime notification. And it's like drummed into you all the time, and you end up just doing it out of habit. That's your resolution, that's my resolution. Just stop it, don't do it anymore. Just get rid of all the junk and just focus on the things that you actually enjoy. Anyway, there is my rant over and done with. And who else is in here tonight? Now we've got some more people. Brightex in the house. Now actually, Brightex off and he's never coming back. Screw you, Brightex. Speaking of which, you are partly to blame for why I was slightly late for the stream tonight. Apart from me being tired and falling asleep on the sofa, and Kath doing her best to give me CPR to revive me, although CPR is normally done through, well anyway, that's another story. If you release a video just before I'm going to start my live stream. I'm going to have to watch it because Brightech, if actually other people that are watching this stream right now, if you haven't seen any of Brightech stuff, it's super, super useful. Now, a lot of the stuff is kind of like how-to videos, so how to set up your Outlook accounts, how to set up static IPs, which was actually today's release video, which is why I was watching it. So I was thinking, actually that's interesting, because I've quite often done static IPs for IT stuff around the house to try and make it work better. Let's see what Brightech's spin is on this this method. And actually it was different from my method, which also made me think, actually, is Brightech 09 a mind reader, or are we like subconsciously linked? 2 days in a row, I've thought of videos that I would like to make, one of which was how to remove signatures or bogus signatures from your email accounts. So that's Windows Mail, Outlook, mobile phone, you know, that kind of thing. It comes up on your phone, you're like, this mail was sent from Android for mobile, or Windows 10 Mail, all that sort of stuff, which is crap. You don't want it on there really, do you? It looks pretty unprofessional, especially if you're trying to send a professional mail to a company or whatever, employer, whatever it may be. So I thought, yeah, actually that's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll do a video on that. And what happens? Brightech 09, how to add a Outlook 2019 signature. It's like, damn. Okay, cross that one off the list, or just put it to the bottom of the list for maybe later. And then I was like, oh, networking, because I've got a new network camera, which I was planning to put on a separate network group, sort of subnet group rather. And what comes out today? How to do a static IP. So again, that's another one. Move it to the bottom of the list. Oh dear. Unsubscribe. You are no longer suitable for my feed. Oh, a letter, that's very kind of you. A letter that says, this channel has a ton of value.
And Adam laughs.
And Adam laughs, bless you. I love you all, but some more than others. See what else we got. Bill Donaldson says that Vista was the future. Well, technically it was. Bill Gates said that 640 kilobytes of RAM was enough for everyone. Yeah, probably back in 95, it probably was. Good old Vista. Windows 2K still Alessa's favourite operating system. Wish I had a copy. Now, actually, Windows 2K, you can run. I've got to think about this carefully now. Am I going to say something illegal? Probably. Anyway. No, actually, it is right. I'm pretty sure you can actually get Windows 2000 as a virtual machine. And being that you've got your new Ryzen setup, which should have SVM, is it SVM? Or whatever it is, virtual machine stuff. Yeah, secure virtual machine, SVM. Yeah, you should be able to run that very easily just by clicking on a box and running it as a separate window. So if you miss it, then you can still have it. And I think it's pretty much free. You can install it, and because there's no activation servers about anymore for Windows 2000, it'll just run. Maybe I'll do a video on that. And someone please tell Brightech not to do that video, please. Actually, yeah, I'll tell him. Don't do it, bro. God damn it. Vista was junk. Actually, Windows 2000, that gets me thinking. Glenn's in the house. Good evening, Glenn. And good evening to, I'm going to try and pronounce this. Is it Yahim? Yahim Sebro? Or Jahim? I don't know. Evening. Now actually, this week I've had a conundrum. I'll quickly go on to this before we look at these processors, because this is a conundrum. Now, some of you may have seen the videos I've done on the Nokias, which are, oh yeah, they're still there. These little bad boys, they're basically complete rip-offs of the Apple earbuds, or AirBuds. I always get this wrong, AirPods, earbuds, AirPods. I might actually write that on the box. But basically, someone watched it and basically said, these would be really good for me for studying because I'm at college, but I'm totally skint. How about you help out a brother and maybe send me a free pair? So I'm not completely unused to getting messages or emails like that. People assume for some reason that I've got some kind of endless pot of cash and that I can just afford to give stuff away. Now, I'm a really low-end YouTuber. Most of this stuff comes out of my own pocket. Some of the things I get sent for review, and quite a lot of the stuff that we get sent for review, as any of you who've got your own channels will know, they are review samples. So more times than not, you review it, you box it back up, you send it back. And it's a constant rotation, and that then review sample goes to another channel, and it goes round and it goes round and goes round, does all the rounds. Popular belief is that we get given loads of stuff. We don't. We really don't. Unless it's cheap stuff, like maybe the glider gloves, which not really cheap, but they were relatively inexpensive. They were given as a review sample. And some companies do give you stuff because it's basically their means of kind of giving you some form of payment for making these videos. But more times than not, you have to buy it out your own money. So, Mike's the GT210 of YouTube. Goddamn Glenn, at least a 720. Shit. Brightech, I got loads of stuff for free. Right, in that case, Brightech, I'm going to send this guy over to you and you can give him some stuff. That would be good. But anyway, going back to my story. So I said to the guy, as a public response, maybe we can help out or something along those lines. Let's see how much support you get. So by that, I meant for other viewers, if they see it, they can tag along. And if I get enough public kind of pressure, then obviously I'm gonna have to do something. So he's been replying, and there's a few people that have also replied saying, yeah, just come on man, give him a set of earbuds. It's like, yeah, because they're like $40. What's $40? To me, $40 is a lot of money. Anyway, moving on. So that is my question really. Should I give in to public pressure and give him some AirPods? Now, he did actually state after that he is studying at, actually Kath will have to look it up, I can't remember what it was, but he's studying, it's one of the naval academies in the US. So I just replied and said, oh, that's really cool that you're learning to protect your country, which is really commendable. Kudos and all that. So yeah, what do you think? Should I give in to pressure and see if I can get him a set of AirPods? I don't know. It seems like a nice thing to do for somebody, but then will I open the floodgates for other people saying, well, you give that guy some AirPods, where's mine? I don't want to start that. But then if I do a giveaway, to make it fair, I have to make it open to everyone. So he may not get them anyway. So for him starting that ball rolling, that would seem a little bit unfair. So, I don't know. I would like to start doing more giveaways. Maybe that's something I'm going to start looking at.
Gerald. Gerard.
Yeah, his name was Leo Gerard, I think, and he did answer one of the things saying which he went to. Kath's having a look now. So let's see, what do
West Point Military Academy.
Oh, West Point Military Academy. Now, if any of you are in the US and know where West Point Military Academy is, or even if it's a decent academy, I presume it would be, but I can't see any reason why it wouldn't be. But if any of you know what West Point Military Academy is like, let me know. That may sway my opinion. I am quite easily swayed. I change my mind from one day to the next. I'm Intel one day, I'm AMD the next. No, I'm not. AMD. So Yahim, if I said that name right.
He says how you spell it.
Oh, did he? He? She? Who knows?
Jaheem. Jaheem.
Jaheem. Yeah, I was kind of right then. Almost, I guess. So AMD is the only option in 2019. Now actually that is another interesting comment, because I am quite an active user on Hot UK Deals, which some of you may have used, some of you may not, but basically it's a deal site. So if someone finds a deal, they post it on the site and you get the choice to upvote or downvote, very much like Reddit, and people get to comment on if the deal is good or if it's not. So if this deal is really good, it gets a very high heat rating. If it's a crap deal, it gets freezing cold. You get the idea. So somebody posted a deal on there for an older Z270 board, I think it was, and it said in the description, supports generation 6 and 7 Intel processors. That was quite a cheap board. It was like £50, which in the UK is actually pretty cheap for a motherboard, especially for that kind of spec board. So I posted on there saying, no, do not buy it. this is a dead end board. If you want to replace an existing board, it's a fantastic deal. But if you're looking to build a new system, you totally shouldn't be looking at this board or that generation of Intel processors, because it's a dead end. There's no upgrade path. Which actually made me think that Intel actually are complete asshats. They keep on bringing out this stuff, and then there's actually another news article which I was looking at just before I started, where can't think of who it was, but basically someone who knows their onions was, I nearly said something else then, someone who knows their stuff has actually masked off individual pins on the motherboards to see if they actually need those extra pins, which Intel have kind of made a big thing about, saying this is why we can't backwards support these CPUs, because the pin configuration, yada yada yada. Which at the moment it seems that that actually isn't the case, and they could have quite easily made it so that older Z series boards and H series boards would be compatible with the newer chips, but they chose not to, which I think is, again, very much like Apple, is completely anti-consumer. AMD have always said that the AM4 platform will be compatible with chips up to and including, I think it was 2020. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me to that. So the Ryzen 3 that is coming out, and potentially the Ryzen 4, or 4000 series rather, there's a very, very strong chance that it will be compatible with the AM4 boards that we're all using at the moment, which as an upgrade path is amazing, is brilliant. Yeah, we don't get, like, if you're on the older series boards, like the 300 series, you don't get things that the 400 series board will give you, but they've made it so that it's not massively different. It still will run, and it still will run pretty much within spec, which is awesome. Oh, I must have missed something here. Hey Mike, how about a free trip to England? Why on God's green earth would anybody want to come to England? Seriously, England is a weird place. It's essentially an island, okay, where you get such weird weather. Because we're in that kind of northern hemisphere, we get all the kind of the leftovers from the jet stream, and we get all the stuff from Iceland and the North Pole and all that kind of stuff. It all gets pulled down. So depending on which side of that Gulf Stream you're on, which kind of cuts across the UK almost at times, the top half of the UK is essentially like, I don't know, a tundra. It's an Arctic waste zone. I wouldn't ever go there. Personally, I've never really been further up the country than Gloucester, because why? It's cold. And yeah, Kath's actually, we did go to Birmingham, so to get Kath's hair done for the day. Weird. So yeah, we have been that far, and that's about it. But England is like, traditionally is very wet, and like, if you get an idea from watching things like Notting Hill or Four Weddings and a Funeral, or whatever the hell the film was, what you see in the pictures, that ain't England. It's wet all the time, pretty much. You get like 2 or 3 days of summer, or maybe you get longer, but you're never ready for it. So you get some nice weather and it's like, wow, okay, I need an entire new house, new wardrobe, new car, new everything, because you're just not ready for it. And because we get such massive differences in weather, when we do get some really cold weather or some snow, it just cripples the country because we're not ready for it. At least in bigger countries like well, certain parts of America, like I guess Florida would be one, California, you have a pretty steady temperate climate all the way through the year. A little few variations, a few rainstorms and stuff like that, but in general it's the same day in, day out. You can plan. But in the UK, you never know. You wake up in the morning, it could be sunny, it could be cold, it could be hot, and it changes. You get 4 seasons in one day. When we got married, our wedding day, wasn't it, Kath? Started out in the morning, it was windy, like a hurricane. Then it was sunny. Then we had hailstones and snow. And like by the time the night came, it was like -3 or something ridiculous. And it started out in the day like 10 degrees. It's very, very weird. Anyway. So, there we go. Yeah, so the giveaway, what do you reckon? Personally, I actually quite like to do it. I would like to give something back to the viewers and subscribers and all that kind of stuff.
Ben says if you do it on the quiet.
Glenn says to do it on the quiet. Okay, maybe I will.
Brian texted me cheeky and said, give me away.
Give you away? What, as in you? Give Kath away? Do you think this is indecent proposal? For those of you that are older than like 12, you may need to Google that. Aletta, I have no money and I need to waste, I need APU. I'm not sure where that come from. Ninja47 says, actually, well, I've gone back, I've missed out loads of stuff here. Do apologise. So, Ninja47, why is the Ryzen 3 too good to be true? Now, we've probably been doing this for long enough now, so let's have a quick look. Right, okay, so I'm going to be reading this from a piece of paper, which I wish I could put a slide up on the screen, but I'm a technical idiot, so that's not going to happen, so you just have to trust what I'm reading is right. So, actually, I wonder if you can focus in on that. Is that going to focus, Kath? I can't see the screen. No?
A bit small.
I'll get Kath to hold it because my arms aren't long enough. Nah, it's not going to happen, is it? Ta-da! No, it's not going to work. Right, okay, so this is the 8 CPUs which have been listed on the e-catalog in Russia, I believe it was. Now again, a lot of companies or IT outlets have kind of dismissed this and said, no, it's all BS and it's not going to happen. But generally, where there's smoke, there's fire. So I'm going to take it as being that it is going to happen, or at least it's potentially going to happen. So I'll go through it. So my main, or my big interest on this is the Ryzen 3 3300. Now, this effectively is a replacement for the Ryzen 3 1200.
2 seconds, read Britex.
Oh, hang on, I got to read something that Britex said, I think, Kath said. Take a photo with your phone and use OBS to That sounds technical. What, do I have to have OBS on my phone? Ah, take a picture of the phone and then use that could be technical. I'll try it. We'll try this. Check this out, everybody. This is live and direct. Me making an ass of myself. So this may or may not work. Now the Nokia 8 has actually got a very good camera, but in this instance, I need some more light. Let's definitely get that out of the way because that could be a whole host of personal problems. Oh, now I can't see my damn screen. Right, get out of the way. Flash is on auto. Oh, is that even going to be visible? No, that's bullshit. Now this phone, my disclaimer, this phone is actually a good phone, but it had a smashed screen. So I attempted to repair it, and I don't think I've done a particularly good job, if I'm honest. So let's turn the flash on. Sorry?
Hence no video.
What's that done? No, that is even worse. Okay.
Do you want to use my iPhone?
No, because I need to upload it to iTunes, to the thing. I give up. Damn it. Next time I'll try and be more prepared. Actually, I probably have got this in my... Actually, Kath, this is in my OneDrive on that computer. Do you want to put it into the chat? That was a technical thing. Actually, oh no. Am I signed in on here? No, I'm not, am I?
You can put a picture in chat.
Can you? Okay, all right.
So.
Never mind. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so Ryzen 3 3300, which I would say is going to be a replacement for the Ryzen 3 1300. This is starting off, basically, the lowest core count you're going to get on the Ryzen 3 is going to be 6 cores and 12 threads. So immediately, the Ryzen 3 is coming in at the same specs as the higher end Ryzen 5, like the 1600. So the first two chips, the 3300 and 3300X, all of which are 4 gigahertz or above, boost clock, base speeds of 3.2, 3.5, which, okay, not great, but certainly doable. But the TDP for the Ryzen 3 3300 with a 400 boost clock, 6 cores, 12 threads, 50 watt TDP. That is literally sipping power and is at least 15 watts lower than the previous generation version of the Ryzen 5 1600. So the shrink of the node to 7 nanometer, although with the kind of the whole chiplet and the IO thing, it's not entirely a 7 nanometer process. There is a 14 nanometer IO node inside the chip, surrounded by the chiplets, which are the processing cores. But this is the killer. This is the absolute killer. Now, I talked about this a little bit in the previous video about buying stuff online, about the price differences. So the Ryzen 3 3300, I'm going to keep on saying that, 6 cores, 12 threads, 3.2 base clock, and a 4 gigahertz boost clock with a 50 watt TDP, $99. So $99 is effectively, give or take, if we get a fair one-for-one kind of translation on the price in the UK, that should end up being about £80, which will completely trash the Ryzen 3 2200G, the Ryzen 3 1200, 1300, and the 1300X pretty much at current prices. But we'll give you an extra at least 2 cores, at least an extra 4 threads on top of what you've got already, and a much higher boost clock. So that, as their kind of opening gambit, that's the cheapest CPU they're going to release. $99, 6 cores, 12 threads. That, to me, is insane. Like Aletta says, if these leaks are even 60% true, Intel is screwed. And totally, it is totally right.
Range 47, never going to be 6 cores on Ryzen 3. Benchmarks.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I am genuinely surprised. 6 cores, but if you take into account that at the moment the Ryzen 5 1600 you can buy for around about £130 in the UK, so that's roughly equates to, I guess, probably $130. So it actually isn't that much out of spec. So yes, it's cheaper. Maybe the production costs are less, etc., etc. So that's a possibility. Now, I have noticed that a lot of e-tailers and retailers, for that matter, have been clearing stock of the 1600, the 1600X, the 1700Xs in particular. So a lot of retailers are actually clearing their stock. So maybe there is actually quite a lot of element of truth in this. I don't know. It is, if you think about it, it makes sense. If they're doing things as you'd expect them to do it. Sorry, Kath.
He says they wouldn't do that because nobody would buy the higher end CPUs. Everyone loves a bargain.
Now that is the thing. Yes, everyone loves a bargain, but the higher end CPUs are off the chart. Now, going to the opposite end of the spectrum, now this is the top of the line, and this is what is essentially going to be released or announced, at least at CES. There is another CPU which is going to be available in May, so we're not going to include that because that's kind of irrelevant. But the Ryzen 9, which is kind of their answer to the i9, is the 3800X. This crazy thing is essentially a Threadripper. So this has got 16 cores, 32 threads, a base clock of 3.9 gigahertz with a boost of 4.7, 125 watt TDP, which is amazing, and a release price at CES apparently of $449. And again, if you look at previous releases, the 1700X, 1800X, the 2700X, that price doesn't seem that unlikely. The extra cores are amazing, and we know because of the Infinity fabric and the AMD chips that pretty much anything is possible. They can just keep on adding things on because it is a massively scalable chip and architecture. With the reduced in the process, the node, to 7 nanometers, and the energy saving within that, and the ability to squeeze more frequency out of it, that looks amazing, genuinely amazing. Which I think is why a lot of people have looked at this and gone, this is just too good to be true. Because if it is true, this is mental. This makes Intel kind of second fiddle again for the second year running. Yes, they may have a better IPC, but if we get a better IPC because of the process and the frequency is boosted, these are genuine Intel counterparts on every single step of the ladder. Now this is where I would say the sweet spot is. So at the moment, oh sorry, Cass has got to read something. 16 cores is insane, yeah. Coors Light, drink, it's piss water, drink real beer. Hey.
Waster. Paul Johnson said, did the Ryzen come with Coors Light too?
Does the Ryzen come with Coors Light too? Yeah, they use Coors Light as thermal interface compound. They've come away from solder and tin. They're just using Coors Light because it's more refreshing. Like F5. Like F5. F5 is really refreshing. eBay. So eBay is going to be flooded with computer parts if this is true. And Ninja47 says people are going to want the newest. They totally are. And this is what, I've recently done quite a few videos on buying stuff online. At the moment, it's really tough to find stuff online. Even stuff where you'd think there'd be loads of it in stock. Ryzen 3 2200G, the lower end Ryzen chips, Ryzen 5 1600. Even big stores like Amazon are like awaiting shipment or order now and will advise you when it comes in. People are running down stocks. So I think there is a whole lot of truth in this listing. I really hope it is. I'm super excited. Now this actually doesn't include as well, there's going to be the G series components as well, which will be adding, so we got the Vega 8 and Vega 11, so that is theoretically going to be pushed to Vega 15 and Vega 20. Now a Vega 20 core or CU chip based around this architecture is essentially a games console in a chip. It really is. Which for system builders, system integrators, or for budget-minded people, this is going to be amazing. It really is. And this is coming at a time where Intel are basically starting to release F-series chips, which I find is quite amusing because we all know if you put in F in the chat, we know what that means. It's basically a bad thing or a fail or something's gone wrong. So for Intel to release their chips with F-series, and these are chips that have just basically the IPU, or the iGPU on board the chip has failed. So these are essentially chips without integrated graphics because it's failed in some reason. So they're just cutting that bit of the chip off and selling it on as an F chip, which I think is hilarious. Whether anyone else has actually even sussed that out, like K chips are overclockable, F chips are, yeah, basically for all intents and purposes, completely effed, literally. Bizarre. Okay, so, actually, Yahim says, I want to know if the release dates because it seems like it's going to be released after I save up for my 2200G build. But that is the point, that is the whole point of this. This, at the moment, is potentially just BS. It could be real. It looks, I hope it's real. And within, I think the AMD keynote and their releases and stuff like that is going to be early next week. So I'm going to be doing some updates next week. I'm not going to CES because why? I'll just copy what everyone else says. It's a lot cheaper and a lot easier to do. So I'm just going to release the information. But hopefully by this time next week, we should actually know the release dates and the availability and possibly the pricing of these chips, if there is any truth in it. So maybe next Friday we'll have a discussion on what we actually learn and whether or not this is going to be BS. But going back to my previous thing. So the Ryzen 7 3700. Now this is this is the mid-range, this is like the sweet spot. So 12 cores, 24 threads, a 3.8 gigahertz core speed, a base speed rather, with a boost clock of 4.6 gigahertz. 4.6 gigahertz. That is insane. With a TDP of 95 watts. So this essentially is a replacement for the Ryzen 7 1700. But you get 4 more cores, 8 more threads, same release price roughly, $299, which was the Ryzen 7 1700's kind of initial release price. So again, things are looking like it's genuine. It looks genuine. Now this is the real crazy one. In May, coming up, the Ryzen 9 3850X. So this is basically an upgraded version of their release chip. 4.3 gigahertz base speed, 5.1 gigahertz boost clocks. Now they haven't said what cores it's going to be on. I would imagine that's probably a single core boost, but we don't know. There's 16 cores, so maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 4. A TDP of 135 watts and a release price of just £50 dearer of $499. So again, AMD are basically grabbing Intel by the short and curlies and doing the equivalent of their high-end HEDT lineup for half the price. This is going to be a seriously exciting time. I don't like spending money, but with this kind of stuff coming out, it's going to be hard not to. You're going to have to kind of like have a really good reason why you wouldn't buy these chips. And even the low end one, the Ryzen 3 3300 with 6 cores, 12 threads, for £99, that's a budget chip, but with essentially mid-range kind of abilities. I really genuinely hope that comes to life. I really genuinely do. I'm gonna have a quick look in the comments to see what you think. Glenn, so Ninja's saying, well, actually, Brightech says, will my 16 cores make my Frankie Vaughan look better? Maybe.
What is Frankie Vaughan?
Look it up. Google it. Ninja 47, higher end CPUs are for enthusiasts who want to get top scores on benchmarks and want to edit fast. I think if there's a 6-core CPU for 80 quid, the majority of people will go for that. I'm completely with you. Again, like I've always said before, this channel isn't about the kind of spending as much money as you can to get maybe 1 or 2 FPS extra on your games or your benchmarks. It's about real world computing and what we do on a general day-to-day basis, but without spending an absolute crap ton of money. I can see these doing really well. If they come out and they actually work, which they should do because they're a revision of the existing Ryzen setup, these are going to be awesome. Generally going to be awesome. Aletta agrees as well with Ninja. We want to do stuff cheap and cheerful. We do. We genuinely do. And when this comes out, if this does come out, things like the Ryzen 3 1200 and the Athlon 200G, GE rather, makes you wonder if they're actually, because of the price of this at $99, the 200G around about sort of $50, it does kind of give you that food for thought where you think, well, do you go complete baseline rock bottom, or do you spend extra $50 to get for something which is in a completely different class? Interesting stuff. Ninja 47 doesn't want the i5 2500 if this is true, as it's around 35 quid. I'd rather save a bit more money and get the 3000 series. Also as well, if you're looking at getting an older i5, especially the second generation, you have to take into account the RAM you're going to be using. You're going to be using older RAM. The 1155 boards aren't always the most reliable. They do seem to have somewhat of a shelf life. They do have a relatively high failure rate, whereas with AM4 boards at the moment, again, touch wood, failure rates are really low. Problems that were initial things with like the BIOS updates, chips not being recognized. Okay, fair enough, but they weren't actual board failures. They were BIOS incompatibilities. Board failure is a completely different matter, and it's something that has almost been overlooked these days on AM4 boards, which is a really nice thing to see. Some of the earlier Intel boards, the 775s, the 1155s, the 1156s, not the greatest of reliability. Yeah, Ninja 47 sums up essentially, wait and see what's available. This is hypothetical. It could happen, it might not, but it's certainly a push in the right direction. Wow. Yahim says the Vega 15 APU, this what AMD has been hiding from Nvidia. They kind of, yeah, they essentially have been hiding it, not entirely hiding it, but Nvidia have got their place in the market. They're high end. I don't think there's any doubt about that. They have completely dominated the high end, and some would say probably the mid range as well, to a point. The AMD cards have always been traditionally very good for system integrators because they're low cost, and obviously now with the APUs, years ago you used to get sort of motherboards with onboard AMD graphics was quite a normal thing. You did get a little bit of Nvidia with the Enforce and Enforce 2 chipsets, but that kind of, because of the disagreements between Intel and AMD and all those others, that soon went by the by. Nvidia wanted to do their own thing. So AMD have always kind of taken that, the mid-range and low end, and obviously with them making the consoles, Xbox, PlayStation 4, all the kind of architecture within that, and I think the Wii to some extent, and the Wii U, and maybe even the Switch. I'm not entirely sure. I've kind of fallen out of love with Nintendo of recent, but most of the console stuff is all AMD, custom AMD stuff. So AMD has got that kind of sewn up, and a lot of the set-top boxes, all those kind of bits and pieces, smaller end stuff, custom built stuff, AMD has always taken a really good stance with that stuff. So yeah, it's the Vega 15 is just basically an incremental step up, or a kind of increase in the Vega technology. Now with Navi around the corner, which again, we haven't really touched on that, the Navi stuff is probably going to be announced at least. We haven't seen any facts, figures or anything, so it's unlikely we're going to see a product release anytime soon, but hopefully we should find out some more details about Navi and what it's expected to be, which again is going to make AMD step up again. AMD, I think this year were rated as probably one of the highest stocks that you could buy, as in one which is really worth getting into and buying more of. I remember Adam, if Adam's still about from the Blind Divide, we had a discussion probably a year, 18 months ago about should we have bought AMD stock at that time, because it was kind of flatlined, and just before Ryzen released and all that sort of stuff. Wow, we should have really got in there then. That would have been, we would have been pretty comfortable right now. But anyway. Brightech thinks that AMD is going to be the new CPU king. That would be really nice to see, and if they can keep the prices in line with what they're doing and gain that market share, let's not kind of overlook it too much that Intel has got a massive market share in the server market and also the mainstream desktop market. So to become the CPU king is going to be some feat, and they're already doing massive improvements in the server market with the EPYC processors. So yeah, it's really encouraging, and also this is good because if AMD are going to start kicking Intel's ass around the playground, then they're going to have to fight back with something. So they're either going to have to release cheaper CPUs, which I don't know, could be a problem for Intel. Their shareholders probably won't go for that. They'll probably just rather keep on tanking along for the next 5 years until we get that whole cycle again where Intel rises and AMD are on the back foot, which potentially with Moore's law and the way that's all working out, there is only a limited thing that AMD can do. So they're on the uppers at the moment, but it won't last forever. It can't last forever, because unless they start getting into ultraviolet technology for the manufacturing process, they're getting to a point now at the 5.1, 5 gigahertz, where you're going to get leakage in the chips. So basically the information which is being passed around will start leaking into subsequent areas, which will cause kind of blue screens of death and all that kind of stuff. So they've really got to look at changing their architecture manufacturing wise going forward to maintain this, much like Samsung are doing. Samsung are getting into the UAV technology. I think they've got a couple of fabs set up to do that now. So Samsung are actually ahead of the pack, both Intel and AMD wise on that side of things. So this is good for now, but they're going to struggle to keep it up. I missed something out there. That's actually, I quite like that. A letter. Some people play PUBG and Fortnite. I play Cinebench and Firestrike benchmarks. We've all been there. I must admit, actually, I haven't done a Cinebench benchmark on a PC now for a little while. So maybe over the week, actually, that is my my message for anyone who's watching. I want your Cinebench scores. This time next week, when we do the next stream, possibly, or Saturday, let's see your Cinebench scores. We'll see what we get. I've got a strong suspicion that I would hope, I'm not too sure, but I would hope that a letter and possibly Brytech, I would imagine of the regulars that you would probably get the highest scores based on what you've got, possibly. I don't know about Brytech, but you do get a lot of stuff, so I would hope you've got a really kick-ass system, and Letter's got a new system, so I would imagine you two are probably going to be leading the pack, but we'll see. We'll see what we can get. Paul Donaldson, looking at how cheap Amazon and Google products are, people have got used to paying low price now for top tech. Yeah, they have actually. It is starting to creep back up again. I don't quite understand it. We did get to a point. Well, actually, there's a, like I said, like I did in the previous video, there's a real weird discrepancy between pricing for certain components. Like motherboards in the UK are generally, actually, which way around was it? I think the American motherboards generally tend to be, they were a lot cheaper, but they seem to be a lot dearer at the moment. And ours seem to be cheaper. It's really weird. There isn't like a flat playing field, so a processor in the UK is probably going to be the same price in the US, but because of the exchange rate, obviously the US version is better. It's very odd. I seem to be losing frames, I think, on the stream. Is that calf? Uh-oh. Stream's dead, it's green there. Oh, no. I think we've had a bit of a frame spike. I don't know. What's going on? Am I dead? Oh well. Yeah, I think, video output is low. Sorry people if you're, if I'm coming through like I'm on crack. Uh-oh. It's dying. Video output low. What is going on? Oh, that looks to be okay. Is that still on red?
Yeah.
Sorry everybody if you're seeing a slideshow, we appear to be experiencing technical difficulties for some apparent reason. So I'm going to keep on talking and can you still hear me? Or has the stream died? Got sound okay, so you got sound, no picture. I did have a funny story about that. So is that my camera or is that, right, let's try changing the camera. Okay, so how's that? How are we looking on that? Has that come back to life? Oh no, that's not going to move, is it? Let's refresh the page. It's freezing. It is bloody cold. Oh. Audio is fine. Okay. Where's the camera? H's horror fan says that it's the smoothest it's ever been. I can't tell with you whether that's comment. So Brightex says yes. I can still see you. Okay, so it's working. Let me see. Sound is good, but you've frozen. Okay. Right. Let's see. I'll try and turn the camera on and off and see if that does it. The sound may temporarily go. Actually, let's just change the. Oh, wow, what's going on here? Right, that should be back on now. Don't know if we're going to be back on the screen. How are we looking now? Yeah, stream resumed. There we go. How are we looking? Is that better, everybody? Are we back up and running? Prefect. Better. Okay. Well, better is better than not at all. Now that weirdly seems that OBS has crashed, so I'm going to I'm going to have to set fire to my computer later. I think it's probably the Ryzen 7 1700 that's in that machine. It's probably getting a little bit of a complex and thinking, actually, screw you, hippie, I'm out of here, and calling it a day. Did I put 50p in the meter? I wish I still had an electricity meter. Just like they said in Spaceballs, even in the future, nothing works. That is, that's true. Paul Donaldson, there is a Mitchell brother on the screen. All right, bruv. Which one am I? No, actually, I don't even answer that. These comments, I know. It's terrible, isn't it? Potato vision. What, potato head? Right, what was I getting into before I said that? So actually, I think we've probably summed up everything on that. Bitcoin's birthday, we've had a look at, the iPhone stuff, we've had a look at. What the hell? Let's just wing it like we do anyway. So, I honestly don't know what I've still got. Now, some of you may have seen, I don't know actually, did I do it on a live stream before? Did I show you the acrylic PC?
Yeah, I think you did.
I'm getting tangled up in wires now. Now I've come to the conclusion I can't use a wireless microphone in this setup because there's just too much Wi-Fi and it just interferes like crazy. So I have to keep with a wired microphone. I did think about getting a boom, but it's too damn echoey. Talk HMB. Okay, do you watch Ninja 47? I like that. Do you watch random gaming in HD? Yes, I do, but Kath hates it. She doesn't like the sound of his voice because he's got that kind of quite monotone voice. I personally don't even notice it because it's like tech. I just focus on that. Excuse me, this beer is really belchy. Belchy? Burpy. Doesn't help that I had noodles earlier. That's really a great concoction. Yes, I do watch random gaming in HD, and actually I really enjoy the channel. And I think his whole way of going about things is really cool, about sort of recycling old PCs and all that sort of stuff. I'm a little bit kind of bored with the benchmarky kind of stuff. I'd rather that was trimmed down to a little bit, but the builds and the stuff and the content is great, and I think he's a great kid. Right, talk HMV. HMV, I gotta be honest with you, HMV, I think probably the last time I went into HMV was probably at least 5-6 years ago, and that was probably to get a PC game that I couldn't get elsewhere. HMV for me as a high street brand, honestly, I'm not gonna miss it at all. In fact, because I've been there so little, yeah, it doesn't make any difference to me. I would say probably Amazon Music and all those kind of other streaming services and stuff have basically killed HMV. If they'd have had a little bit of foresight And like most companies these days, most companies these days, this goes for pretty much all companies, they don't seem to have a vision of a future, which is really odd because they probably spend thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds employing people to come in, look at their company, look at the books, look at what they're doing, and to give them some advice and guidance on how to go forward. Remember back in the kind of 80s and 90s, there was always a big thing of these kind of time in motion studies. They may call them something different wherever you are, wherever you work, whatever. But every now and then you'd get some consultant who'd come in, watch you work, see what you did. You'd have to fill out some BS form saying what time you did, how long it took you to do individual jobs. And then they'd go back to the manufacturers or employer or whatever, and they'd say, well, this person takes like 5 minutes to do this, 10 minutes to do that, so why don't you just let that person do it instead? It'd be a lot cheaper. And then basically they would do that, combine a job and sack someone's ass, and they would always be known as the kind of the axe man or the axe wielder. So whenever you had a time and motion study at work, you'd be like, look busy, look busy. And in fact, very recently, my employer, we had one of those kind of people come around because they wanted to see what people were using desks. So they literally, like, not sent an email, but basically went around panicking, going, oh, quick, they're coming in at 1 o'clock. Come up and sit in the office to make it look like the desks are being used. It's like, really? Why? If we're not using the desks, why lie about it? You're just not helping the whole process. That is the whole point. We actually put cups of hot steaming tea in empty desks to make it look as if someone's just gone for a piss or something, to make it look like someone has sat there and put like a plate of food there. Well, we didn't actually do that. We assisted in the creation of that illusion. What a load of crap. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, so that was the thing. Companies don't care. They generally don't. Or if they do care, it comes to a certain level down the chain where there's people making calls that obviously aren't good. Now, I've come to the conclusion that if you're actually good at your job, then your company probably don't want you. And your middle management definitely don't want you because they're terrified that you make them look bad, which is a massive thing in pretty much all workplaces because companies are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The days of the small independent company are pretty much obsolete. So in those days, if you had like maybe a 3 or 4 person operation, and if you were all really good at your job, it was a brilliant thing because you were pushing the company on and you were great. But in these big organizations with loads of individual management levels, if someone's really good at their job, the manager's looking like, oh wow, hang on, my position's looking a little bit jeopardized there. We really need to get someone shit in. And that is what happens. And I think pretty much that is what happened to HMV and a lot of these companies. They employ basically minimum wage workers who probably don't really give 2 tosses about the job. And if they get the sack, it's not a problem because they'll just go to the next minimum wage job. So if you're a music lover or really into music, I'm not saying this is the same for everybody, but in most places you go into HMV or your Courage PC World or your kind of your big box retailers, and it's just kids and they're like, right, the parents have said to them, right, you need to get a job. So they've just applied for anything, they've gone into an interview, chewing gum, cigarette behind their ear, and they're like, right, will you work for as little money as we can get away with legally? Yeah. Okay, when can you start? And that is basically what happens. You get these people who've got no interest in the job, working for minimum wage, doing essentially a crap job, giving the customer bad service, and people wonder why the high street is dying. So come on, look around you. You go into pretty much any UK store, especially big companies, go in there and check out the people in there. Now, don't get me wrong, there's probably going to be 1 or 2 or a few of them which are actually really good at their job. But it's the ones that are crap and don't care and are just employed because they're filling a space. They're the ones that are killing the UK and the global market. Because you don't want to go into a shop and be served by someone like that. You genuinely don't. Because you just walk away thinking, I didn't enjoy that experience. I didn't engage with that person. They didn't help me. I've walked out making the wrong decision, or I've bought the wrong thing. I'm not going back there. Now this is especially true in restaurants these days, but I'm not going to talk about that because that's really, really off topic. Anyway, moving on. So, Aletta's got dinner, Subway raisin cookies and Guinness extra stout. That is the serious thing there for a long life. Plenty of iron. And raisins have got stuff in them. Vitamins, maybe. Paul Donaldson, it is sad as GameStation, all that stuff. I remember there used to be a company called, I think it was in the UK, Software Warehouse, and they used to have stores around the UK, and I think they got bought out by a company called like Giraffe or something. But originally Software Warehouse was great. You go in and you get loads of cheap software, you get loads of cheap parts, and they used to have those big magazines that come out every week or every month in like Computer User or PC Shopper or whatever. And they have these big glossy things and you flip through and you're like, oh yeah, next month when I get paid I want that. I want a 12-speed CD-ROM. It's going to cost me £81 and 8p including that, but I definitely need one because my current CD-ROM is like a 2-speed or 4-speed and games are taking ages and I just need it in my life. And that was the things that we used to go out and buy, and I used to really enjoy that back then. 80s horror fan. HMV is now full of emotionally charged 19-year-old gothic employees. Maybe not for long now. Maybe those gothic employees will now turn into emos and be in a very dark place. Although HMV would be a pretty dark place when they turn all the lights off finally. Hone a skill and start it on your own is always my advice, especially in a very rural area, says Glenn. Yeah, which is not easy for me to say. Ninja47 on a slightly different comment there. If PC gaming gets cheaper, maybe I'll change my mind if 4K can compete price-wise with Xbox and PlayStation. Now actually that is a good point. I still use 1080p. Now I've got money set aside to buy a monitor and I'm still undecided what to get. I want 32 inches, I think. I want FreeSync. I don't know why, but I probably do. I don't really want 144 Hertz because I can't see the point, literally. And I don't know if I want 4K. My eyes can't see 4K. Your eyes can't see 4K. It's been scientifically proven, anything over I think it's 200 and something dots per inch, you cannot tell the difference. You literally can't. So essentially if you're going from a 1080p screen to a 4K screen at the same physical size, basically everything is squished. So you get more real estate. You don't get a better quality picture, you just get everything shrunken. You can't tell the difference. So I'm in a real conundrum. I like 1080p gaming. 1080p gaming works for me because graphics cards are slightly older, RX 580 4 gig, ideal for 1080p gaming, and that PC GTX 1070, again I think that's 8 gig, well, I don't even know actually, could be 6 gig for all I know. Again 1080p gaming, absolutely fine. I'm concerned that I get, with all the details turned up, or most of the details turned up, motion blur off obviously because motion blur is pointless, I get pretty good frames per second. Most games anywhere between 60 to 200 frames per second in that sweet spot. If I go to 1440p, if I go to 4K, am I going to be stuck back with 40, 50, 60 frames per second in most games? If so, I don't want that. I really don't. What is the point? Games are designed to be, most games are designed to be fast, reaction-based games. So you want high FPS. You don't really want it to be looking all nice and eye candy. And again, realistically, can you tell the difference between 1080p and 4K in gaming? If you took two screens side by side, could you, without a shadow of a doubt, identify each time which one was running which resolution? I think most people would struggle, apart from the fact that they'd notice slower frame rates. So is 4K, and actually they reckon that 8K this year is going to be the big thing. How can 8K be a big thing? Maybe for a TV, because we've got these massive sizes like 55 inch, 65 inch, 70 inch TVs. Okay, so extra real estate, extra pixels, I get it. But for mainstream, 24, 27, 32 inch monitors, 8K, I don't know, takes a lot of horsepower, and then you're just paying more money for it to look slightly prettier, but lower frame rates. Is there a point? Which goes back actually, so when you said about the 4K gaming, I tried using the Xbox One just before Christmas or just after Christmas. Can't remember when it was. Tried to use it, and even though it's kind of based loosely around Windows 10, it was a god-awful experience. It genuinely was. The login process, the update process, oh my god, that was horrendous. The gameplay, the frames per second, just didn't seem like a great experience. Don't get me wrong, if you like a console, you like the ease of use, you don't want to use keyboard and mouse or whatever, fine. But for me, console gaming for me ended probably with the Xbox 360. That is for me when it changed. The Xbox, the original Xbox, was a console for everybody. There was a little bit of everything, so you could have like your Halo games, your Simpsons hit and run, your kind of Barbie games, all those kinds of things. It covered loads of different areas for different individuals and age groups and all that kind of stuff. And again, Xbox Media Center, the hackability of it, everything was there. It looked good, it felt good, you had that amazing controller. But the Xbox 360, it was faster, it looked nicer, but didn't really bring more to the table, games-wise. If anything, it maybe come out with less because people were aiming for the gaming market rather than the general market, which is probably why the Wii did so good. MOD Symphony / Poo design. Open a shop, Mike. Do you know what? I would genuinely love to open a shop. There is, local to where we live, there is a shop which I've always wanted to buy or own or rent or whatever. And I would dearly love to set up a PC or tech related shop doing kind of like consoles, PCs, home automation, all that kind of stuff. But it is genuinely scary. It is absolutely scary. Like, I'm a 45-year-old guy this year, which is terrifying. So realistically, my lifespan is severely diminished by this state. So to actually go ahead now and buy a shop and set it up and run it, it's a really terrifying thing to do. I would genuinely love to do it. It's something I've always wanted to do. And two of my old mentors, Glyn Chapman and Roy Tucker, who both of them in their own ways have kind of molded me to be the kind of person I am and the retailer I am, and have taught me so much in the way. I would love to do it just to show to them, look, this is what you've taught me and this is what I'm doing for people. I would genuinely love to do that. If I won the lottery or won a little bit of money on the lottery, probably the first thing I'd do would be go down there, buy that shop and kit it out and just have an absolute blast. I would rent video games, all that kind of stuff that isn't done on the market now. There's a massive gap in the market for PC hardware, games rental, tech support, all that kind of stuff, but on a kind of real close, intimate level, which I would love to do. So yeah, it would be a really nice thing to do, and it's one of those things I've always dreamt of doing. I will do it one day if I get enough money. This is as good as it gets, Mike. It probably is. It probably is. Adam from the Blind Divide says, start flogging EMU consoles like Soldier Boy. Yeah, Mike's unboxing consoles with the latest hacks. Aletta, consoles ended for me after the Atari 2600. For some people that was the start. Yeah, the Atari 2600 was great with the wooden veneer. I actually remember getting one of those and on Christmas morning playing Pac-Man with my friends, sharing the controller, passing it around as you did. And oh yeah, that was great memories. Games like Pac-Man, Galaga, Space Invaders, Smurf, what else was there? Grand Prix, and you could get the paddles as well. Oh, that was going back, but that was good. That was good. Paul Donaldson has raised a fantastic thing. Crowdfund the shop. That's not a bad idea. I would imagine, especially in the local area where we are in Bristol, I would imagine there probably is enough demand to make that shop work once you get the initial outlay out of the way. But the thing that'll kill it is what kills most retail places is the damn taxes and the rent. To rent a shop is not cheap. especially in a relatively high foot flow area. Way, Paul Donaldson, thank you for the shop fund. And just goes to show that both my lamp, which I bought off of eBay or whatever, was great, and the MW3 tender is still working perfectly, which I actually need to do an updated review on, because that thing has been brilliant. Thank you, Paul Donaldson. Thank you for funding the shop. You have just purchased a dump bin to go out the front of the shop, which will put in some of the used keyboards after we've cleaned them. Brightech had 2 PC repair shops back in the day. Now, Brightech, actually, do you recall a company called M Squared that was in, well, they were next to Novatech, and also in Bristol and in Exeter, I think, and I think there was a shop in Swindon as well. But that was who I used to work for, M Squared. Mikey Boy console. That would be good. Adam Blind Divide, you need a live subscriber counter. I have. It's Kath. Every day she tells me how many subs I've got. Although, I don't care. I really don't. Actually, that goes back to what I said earlier. If you don't find any value of this channel and you don't like interaction and you're like subscribe just because you think you should because of whatever reason, don't unsubscribe. Free yourself up. Make your feed really nice and clean. Liberate yourself in 2019. That's what we're going to do. And in fact, actually, I am seriously considering leaving Instagram and LinkedIn and what's the other one? Twitter. I don't get Twitter still. I really don't. And for me, all it is just assholes who are like, help my channel grow, help this grow, sub for sub and all that sort of stuff, or instant retweet. It's like, really? I've got an entire feed for that crap now. So chances are in the new year or the next couple of weeks, Twitter, probably not Facebook, because Facebook is actually still quite useful, but all the other stuff, just going to get rid of it. It's no point, really at any point. Just takes up my time, takes away my focus, and stops me from opening up my shop.
So we've got £5 towards.
That we've now got £5 towards. Well, actually, no, it's not £5 because it's Canadian money, so is it not? Paul Donaldson, oh, that's £5, isn't it? Yeah, sorry, I was thinking it was Canadian rupees, but it's not, is it? Liverpudlian rupees. Adam Blind Divide, have you seen the predicted subscriber count on Social Blade for your channel? No, I haven't. And there is actually a reason behind that, because Kath says to me all the time, oh, look how many subscribers we've got. And again, I don't want really to know. I do, it's nice to know how you're doing and things are going, what have you. But I try not to focus on it. Because at the end of the day, if people want to watch it, they want to watch it. If they don't want to watch it, they don't want to watch it. Subscribers or no subscribers, I'm still going to keep on doing it regardless. So if I grow to be a bigger channel, fantastic. If I don't, I don't. It's not the end of the world, and it's not, I don't think to myself, right, that video generated me X amount of subscribers, so I'm going to keep on doing content like that. I don't do that, and I don't want to do that because it's pointless. It really is pointless. Anyway, I don't, oh, I nearly said I digress, but I didn't, so I haven't said that this year. I'm happy with that. Now, Aletta worked in a small mum and pop PC store for 2 years. I built and repaired about 150 PCs in that time. See, I think that's where it's at. All these big chain stores like Best Buy and all those stuff in America. In the UK, we've essentially got PC World and probably, well, actually, what else have we got? In the UK, we're screwed when it comes to little stores like that. There's a few kind of little ones which are pocketed around, but most of them have just turned into retailers now. They don't want to get involved with the kind of whole repair, upgrade, that kind of friendly service you get from those like mum and pop stores. Maybe that's what we need in 2019. I am seriously considering doing it. It would be a massive gamble, but maybe I'm at that point in life where it's worth actually taking that gamble and building something for myself over and above the YouTube channel. And in fact, actually, a lot of the stuff on it would be useful for the channel, so Maybe Mike's unboxing and PC repairs could be a thing. Looks like Mike's unsubbing me, Bright09. I wouldn't unsub you. Although if you keep on copying my videos, I will.
Before you do them.
Before I do them. So you're copying the idea that I've had that I haven't put anything into action yet. Oh dear. Actually, I'm interested, Brightech, you'll have to send me an email or something. I want to hear more about your PC repair shops. It's hard to get views, everyone's doing it. Yeah, it is. Maybe that's where it needs to be different. Aletta says she loves Twitter. It's the only thing I use. See, I honestly don't get Twitter. I don't understand it. I kind of do, but I don't. To me, Twitter, maybe it's the people I'm following. Maybe it's the way my feed's set up. But it just seems to be relentless adverts and adverts and adverts. And people trying to promote themselves. Now, I don't know, maybe it's because of my age or whatever, but to me, social media is about finding or seeing new and interesting stuff, which, I don't know, doesn't work for me. Facebook is getting better. I'm learning now to tweak the feed. So if there's stuff that comes through all the time that I don't like or that I don't agree with or whatever, all this political stuff, all the Brexit stuff, that can go do one now. I'm not really interested. I am interested, obviously, because financially and the outcome of the country and all that, but I don't want to see all this political arguing. Just like, enough's enough. A decision's been made, let's just make the decision and just move on with our lives, because my feed is just scattered with all that stuff. MOD Symphony, all on black. Yeah, let's bet it all on black. Wesley Snipes said that once, very wise man. Although he did go bankrupt, so maybe not so wise. Paul Donaldson, all PC will want to sell is antivirus and extended warranties. There is a good reason for that. That is because, essentially, that is where the money is. Not so much with the antivirus, but the warranties. The warranties are sold like car insurance and all that stuff. They're based on numbers. So you sell a load of packages, and then you hope and pray that maybe only 10% of those people actually make a claim, and they don't make a claim which exceeds what you've sold. That is the general premise of all warranties. So they got to push them and push them and push them and push them so that people don't overclaim what they've sold. It is a very crap thing. Brightech's off on a promise. Good night. No worries. Enjoy your night. Thank you for everything, and keep on crushing it in 2019. Again, everybody, if you've not checked out Brightech's channel, he's got, I don't know, some 400,000 subscribers, which for a UK YouTuber is like pretty phenomenal. So check him out, add to his numbers. If you think his content adds to your lifestyle and aligns with your personal values, then feel free to click on subscribe. Don't feel like you have to. There, yes, I'm changing the tide of YouTube already. Let's do this. Ninja47, people think you have to pay for antivirus. Yes, it is a very odd thing. Oh, let us come back with that Twitter thing. I like Twitter because I can stay in touch with other writers. Okay, that's fair enough. But if all the writers or your group of writers were on a different social media platform, would you then be drawn to that? Are you on Twitter because of maybe Twitter at some point was like the cool thing for writers, so they all hung out on there and you become kind of entrapped within that ecosystem? Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, Brightech, you're on a promise, so good night and have fun, and don't forget, make sure you wear protection. Or something. Or just use some MX4 compound. That generally is a very good contraceptive, I found. Especially at the higher temperatures. Ah, dear. Sam610's on. Hey, Sam610. Now, Sam610 is another YouTuber. It has a channel in the good old US of A, I believe it is. Yeah, it is the US of A. Yeah, I'm sure it is. And he was asking a question yesterday about trying to get the best out of his system for doing video editing. He's got a slightly lower end PC and trying to get the most out of it. So we had a conversation about that, and hopefully Sam's tried some of the suggestions I've put forward, and I think Aletta maybe put some suggestions forward in the comments. And again, actually that is what this channel is all about. It's all about building a community and us all helping each other out. Again, that is what we're doing it for. We're not doing it to become rich and famous, because, well, if I wanted to do that, I'll just go and flash my butt in the middle of the suspension bridge or something stupid like that. But this is a cool way of kind of putting something back in. Yeah, I tried it before, it didn't work, so. I even tried flying a drone up in bloody London, that didn't work either. Just caused a whole kind of shitstorm. Actually, what is the stream quality like? Is that clear on there?
Screen.
The actual picture?
Yeah.
Okay, it looks really fuzzy on mine. Maybe that's just me. Am I fuzzy? Twitter, Aletta says Twitter's easy for me to use. Okay, that's fine. Oh, Sam, that's very kind of you. Love your I'll tell you what, Sam, I was watching your video with you and your boy with the radio control car, and it was a really cute moment, and I think that is what is more needed on YouTube and stuff like that. There's so many channels. I suppose it's a different genre or niche, but there's so many channels where people are just constantly trying to sell you something or sell you an idea, or I don't know, make you align with certain beliefs and values. But that video with you and your boy just playing on his radio control car, it's just like real life. And that's actually, I think real life is actually far more interesting than anything else that people do. So you keep doing what you're doing. It's really cool. Whoa, Paul Donaldson. What about Mike sex tips, techniques and safety tips on your tube after your advice about protection? Yes. No. Just no. I wasn't going to go into a whole thing then, but I'm definitely not going to. I'm definitely not going to. Ninja 47's got to go now. The phone battery's going to go. See you next stream. Cheers, mate. All the best. See you very, very soon. And hopefully we'll find out some great news for CEX, so you can not have to buy your Intel i5 2500, and you can buy a nice shiny new Ryzen 3000 series, which probably need a new BIOS update for your motherboard. Anyway. So, MOD Symphony Poo design. I've got it on 480p. Young boy's got poor potty band. Actually, I'm not even sure what resolution I'm at. Well, it says here that I'm at 1080p 60 frames per second, which I've had to re-click on. Oh, and it is working now. Well, happy days. Oh, I've closed my chat. I really need multi-monitors. That is one of the things I'm actually looking at doing in 2019. More than one monitor. Even if I just have to plug in something to this Surface, it would be far, far better. Adam, Blind Divide. Oh God, we're back on the rubber dolls. No, 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 no. Yahim's on a Nokia 6, so it's very clean. Is that the 6 or the 6.1? I had the 6 and I had the 6.1, and the 6 for me was a little bit buggy. I had trouble with the Dolby sound. It was making a weird hissing noise at low volume, which, because I listen to talk radio, American talk radio at night on a low volume, that hissing was driving me insane. Amazon, please take my money, is Aletta's reaction to the Ryzen 3K stuff. I definitely want to do it. Adam says, yeah, Mike sex tips would get 3 strikes before the first video is uploaded. Yeah, I don't get that, because on YouTube there is some pretty outrageous stuff at times, but yet the channel still seems to be active and alive. Whereas if I play some music by Rihanna, I get a strike. I've already had that. We were driving in the car doing a video, basically an update video about the roadworks which are going on in our local area, which is a completely stupid idea anyway, but I had a new camera and I wanted to try it out. And I was recording and Rihanna was on the radio. I turned it down, but you could just about make it out in the background with her screechy voice going on. And yeah, I had a bloody strike straight away. This video contains copyright from Rihanna Inc. Well, screw you, Rihanna. But I did really enjoy the, what was that thing that was #1 for like a million years? Umbrella. I liked Umbrella, that was pretty cool. Kath used to dance to it on the Xbox, which was fun to watch. Oh no, we used to sing it, didn't we? On the, what was that? Lips. Xbox 360, the Lips game. That was amazing, we loved that. Have lots of alcohol and then start singing to your console.
And then buy new games for my birthday and sell the Xbox before playing them.
I knew that was going to happen.
What's that other one she does with Lonely Planet? Shy Ronnie.
Oh yeah, Shy Ronnie. I should have played that in the background, Shy Ronnie. Right, okay, it's coming up to nearly 2 hours, which I said I desperately didn't want to do 2 hours again. These live streams are a weird thing because we start talking about the news, I go off on a tangent, and then I come back on a tangent, and I come on back, do something else, and talk a load of crap for ages and drink only 2 bottles of beer tonight, which is rough. Paul Donaldson says, buy Katha, Bella, Umbrella. I'll probably get a copyright strike for that, just for mimicking Rihanna. Anyway. Yeah. Sam 610, I wish my older Surface would change OS, but it's too old. It can only run their apps. Now that would probably be the original Surface, which was the Surface RT software, which they did actually say they were going to try and put an emulator based into the kernel of that, so it would try and emulate x86 instruction set. I'm not sure what's happened about that. Letter says, that's what I like about these streams. What, Mike's sex tips?
No, that you rant on.
Oh, that I rant on and ramble on. I do ramble on, it's ridiculous. I don't know, I was watching, what was this tuber I was watching yesterday? I was getting involved. I can't remember his name.
Sure.
Scottish guy, I think, called Andy. Techstream GB, I think it is, or Techstream UK. And yeah, it's quite an interesting conversation, but I could see that he was really organised and focused, and he was like talking about stuff, and going back to what I said earlier about focus. Focus is generally a good thing, but maybe being too focused is probably a bit detracting and a little bit kind of monotone and formulaic. And I don't like formulaic. I worked for a company that had this really stupid ass formula for everything they made, and they followed the exact same formula every single time. So you have to have 5 minutes of this, 10 minutes of that, 5 minutes of this has to happen here, this has to happen here. You have to have A story, B story, C story. Bullshit. Make it good, go with the flow. Just do what works. Don't worry about all that crap. Kath's like, what was that? It's like, casualty? I don't know if the lip stream can come on out. Adam will know what I'm talking about. Ah, dear. I like streams that are somewhat random. I don't need any sex tips. I got that subject down. Wow. I'm not going to answer that. Just, do you need any more MX4 compound? That's all I'm saying. Chase the dragon with Kath. Good luck. Chase the dragon with Kath. Good luck. Now, from my recollection of the 80s, chasing the dragon referred to smoking heroin. So, probably not a great idea, especially on a live stream. I'm pretty sure you'd get demonetized at some point during that, or alternatively pass out and die. Both of which are normally not really good viewing. But hey, try anything once. On that YouTube thing, Nick the Smoker got his channel taken down during the YouTube cleaning, and he just does cigarette reviews. That's kind of understanding. Adam, I might pop in there. I'm sodding skin. I think I've been blacklisted. Adam, you and probably most of the other people that are actually any good. I'll go back to my previous statement about workplaces not wanting people who are actually any good at their job. You know what I mean. Oh, Caps said us too, Adam. Yeah. Yahim says, I know the dragon as the D. Okay. This is getting very weird. Right, we've done 2 hours. We've done some reviews. No, we haven't done any reviews because we haven't. See, I've done it again. I've looked at my mobile phone because it verped, which is my exact thing. That's my gut reaction. If it makes a noise, I look at it to see what is going on. So I'm going to turn off my push notifications, and from now on, I'm only going to answer questions in the YouTube chat live, on the YouTube channel as questions, the Discord and Facebook Messenger, which is probably more than enough.
And emails.
And emails, obviously. But Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff, slowly but surely they can do one. I've had it. I've had it. That is enough. So, to wrap things up, totally looking forward to CES. It's going to be really interesting to see what actually comes of our suspected Ryzen 3000 series. Hopefully it's going to be good news for us all. But in the meantime, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. That has been Kath from Kath's Unboxing Reviews and How To. No, that doesn't exist. Maybe that should. Yeah, okay. So, thank you all for watching, and we will catch you in the next stream. Hopefully it's going to be Friday, same time next week. That'll be the... yeah, actually, maybe we might even do it an hour or two earlier. We'll see how things go. But hopefully join us next week. I will try and put a notification out half an hour before the show starts. Show. What the hell am I talking about? Show. Like it's a show. Like this shambles starts. So if you want to join us, feel free to do so. Get in a chat before we start. And if you've got any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know and I will see what we can do. Wait, your mic. You crazy kids. I'm going to carry on answering some of these questions after I've stolen it. So I will, yeah, I will steal some content from CES and report back during the week. So keep watching. Have a great weekend and we will see you in the next video or live stream. Thanks for watching.